The next theorem that we are going to prove is f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable on the interval a and a comma b if and only if for every epsilon positive there exists a partition p. Whatever may be the epsilon that you choose, you can always find some partition p such that these things happen. Okay, this theorem is known as, this is the necessary and sufficient condition for a function to be RS integrable. Okay, if you have to look at the necessary and sufficient condition for a function to be Riemann integrable, just take alpha of x to be x. Okay, from this we can deduce that too. Okay, let us start the proof by assuming for every epsilon positive there exists a partition p. There exists a partition p such that UPF alpha minus LPF alpha is smaller than epsilon. Now what should we prove? We'll have to prove f is Riemann integrable, that is lower Riemann integral is same as that of upper Riemann integral. So this is what they have asked us to prove. Okay, now using the previous we'll start our proof with the previous theorem, that is lower Riemann integral is always smaller than or equals the upper Riemann integral. So let us state that here lower Riemann integral is always smaller than or equals the upper Riemann integral. Okay, we have this. So from this what I write is that upper Riemann integral minus lower Riemann integral is non-negative. Let us mark this as equation 1. Now, by the definition of lower Riemann integral, so using the definition what we are going to say, that is this is the supremum of LPF alpha. Okay, the supremum is taken over all possible partitions p, and of course this will be bigger than or equals LPF alpha. It is a fixed partition p. Here this is over p, which means for all possible partitions this is the supremum value. So this will be bigger than or equals, here this p is a particular partition, right? So this we have. From this what I write is that lower integral of f is bigger than or equals LPF alpha, and when I negate it, minus of lower integral is smaller than or equals minus LPF alpha. Okay, let me mark this as equation 2. Now with the help of upper Riemann integral, by the definition of upper Riemann integral, what we have is integral FD alpha, that is upper Riemann integral, is infimum of UPF alpha, right? So if it is the infimum, this is smaller than or equals all possible UPF alpha. Okay, so from this what we get is integral that is the this is not minus b, this is upper Riemann integral of f d alpha is less than or equals up f alpha. Let us mark this as equation 3. Now we will have to add 2 and 3. Adding 2 and 3 we get. Let us revisit the equation 2. If you see what, so this is minus less than or equals minus LP f alpha. Here this is upper. So what we are going to get is upper integral of this function minus lower integral of this function is less than or equals up f alpha minus LP f alpha, and by our assumption this is less than epsilon. That is what we have taken as hypothesis for this part of the proof. So this is what we have, and since epsilon is arbitrary, we may come to a conclusion that this integral f d alpha minus lower integral f d alpha is 0, since epsilon is arbitrary, which means this upper integral is same as that of the lower integral. This clearly tells us that f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable. We have proved the first part of this theorem. Now let us go and prove the second part of this theorem, that is conversely assume f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable on the interval AB. Now we need to prove up f alpha minus LP f alpha is less than or equals epsilon. Okay, this is what we need to prove. Okay, since f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable, what we have, the lower integral of f d alpha is same as that of the upper integral of f d alpha, which is same as that of the integral f d alpha over the limit a to b. Okay, now for every epsilon positive given for every epsilon positive there exist two partitions P1 and P2 such that U P2 f alpha minus L P1 f alpha less than or equals epsilon upon 2. Okay, here since this is the case, I am taking one partition for the lower integral case and one partition for the upper integral case. Whatever may be the value of epsilon, I am getting something of this sort. This is what I meant. Okay, now this U P2 f alpha is less than or equals epsilon upon 2 plus L P1 f alpha. So let us mark this as equation 3. Okay, fix P2 and take supremum over P1. So if we do so, supremum over P1 of U P2 f alpha is less than or equals supremum over P1 of epsilon upon 2 L P1 f alpha, and this quantity is independent of P1, therefore this is U P2 f alpha is less than or equals epsilon upon 2. This is also independent of P1, and this is what? Your lower Riemann integral a to b f d alpha. Okay, and let us mark this as equation star, and from star what we get is that U P2 f alpha is less than or equals epsilon upon 2 plus integral a to b f d alpha. Let us mark this as equation 4. Okay, now we'll start with 3. Okay, in 3 itself. Okay, in 3, fix p1 and take supremum over p2. Then what would we get? We would get sorry, not supremum. Here we'll have to take the infimum, right? So infimum over p2. What are we going to get? Infimum of u p2 f alpha over p2 is smaller than or equals infimum over p2 to the function epsilon upon 2 plus L of p1 f alpha. Okay, this is upper Riemann integral of Riemann-Stieltjes integral. These two are independent of p2, therefore we are going to get the same thing. And let us mark this as equation 5. Okay, now from 4 and 5 we'll have to do something. See, not this as equation 5. Here also, this is also what? Integral a to b f d alpha less than or equals epsilon upon 2 plus L p1 f alpha. This is 5. So from 4 and 5, what we are getting? Actually what we have here is up2, right? So up2 f alpha is less than or equals epsilon upon 2. Again that quantity is less than or equals epsilon upon 2 plus LP1 f alpha. So this is up2 f alpha minus LP1 f alpha is less than or equals epsilon upon 2 plus epsilon upon 2, which is epsilon, right? Here if you see, we have taken supremum over all possibilities, and you may take a refinement. If you take a common refinement from this, we shall do that up f alpha minus LP f alpha is less than epsilon, using the first theorem that we have seen, that is, if P is a common refinement of P1 and P2, then what we have is L P1 f alpha is less than or equals LP f alpha, which is less than or equals UP f alpha, and which shall be written as P2 f alpha. Actually for P1 we'll have one thing, and for P2 we'll have one thing. When we club these two things, we are going to have these things. Okay, here if you have a clear understanding of what these things are, these are some real quantities, some numbers. Okay, let this be LP1 f alpha. Okay, somewhere here I have LP f alpha, and somewhere here I have UP f alpha, and somewhere I hear UP2 f alpha. In the first step, okay, in this step, what we have is that up2 minus f alpha, this quantity minus this quantity. So this distance is less than or equals epsilon. This is what we are meaning. Okay, if this is so, this larger quantity is less than epsilon, which clearly tells us that the smaller quantity has to be less than epsilon, and that is how we completed this proof. Okay, here we'll have to just add only one note. If here P is a common refinement of P1 and P2. Okay, and this is how we completed the proof. Thank you.